Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Training Talk here on Personal Defense Network. I'm Grant Cunningham, and this is the show where we talk about you, about your life, and how to protect it. Now, in the next hour, we're going to talk about how you can train and equip yourself to face your own worst case scenario and keep you and the people in your family safe from harm. Now, we don't do religion or politics on this show, and aren't you glad for that? And we won't hear fringe commentary or crazy conspiracy theories. Can't even talk tonight. Theories, but reasonable, useful information that you can put to use in your life right away. So if you enjoy what you're seeing here, I hope that you will share it. I'm not. Share it with your friends and family, your neighbors, your coworkers, everybody that you know. And we would really appreciate it. And, I bet you they will too. So you'll probably notice things look a little different tonight. And that's because you've been around. You remember the problems with the Google stuff, with the Google Hangouts that we used to do this. And well, we had another problem tonight, and we finally got it worked out to the point that I could actually log in and actually have the show go. But their new plug-in thing doesn't recognize the camera that I use. It barely recognizes the microphone that I'm using. And so we let it default to the built-in camera here on my iMac. Now, the iMac I'm using is several years old, so it doesn't have the HD camera thing. So you'll notice things are a little bit fuzzier than what they normally are. But we're here. That's the important thing. We didn't think we were going to be here tonight because it was just, it was crazy trying to get this to work. You probably noticed too, new PDN shirts. See that nice logo? New PDN shirts came in courtesy of, see if I can get this to show, 511 Apparel, who produce these shirts for us. So thank you guys for getting these out to us. And I should probably adjust my color there. They're kind of this polyester or nylon wicking material, so it's kind of thin and silky feeling. That's great. Yes, that's
Sorry.
the last time you hear that on this show. But you'll notice the shirt is gray and it matches my hair. So I'm color coordinated tonight for the first time ever. So thanks to the folks at 511 for supplying these shirts for us tonight. And so tonight, my special guest is Julie Leffler at Compass Defense Group. I knew I'd mess up. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Grant. How are you? I need a silky shirt. I feel like I'm left out of the silky shirt club.
Yeah, Ooh. Anyway, yeah, it's so yeah, this is pretty cool. So yeah. Compass Defense Group. So this is the new name of your company. You and your husband, the irrepressible Andy Leffler,
yes,
run in Ohio, right?
Yeah, we were Mid-Ohio IMB. And we transitioned for branding purposes only into Compass Defense Group. We thought that would be more easily identifiable as to what we do. And we're still doing the same things. It's just a different name.
And some really great things because you do some classes that nobody else does. And we should also mention that Julie is on the faculty at Ohio State University, and she teaches a bunch of self-defense classes there to the college kids, and boy, do they need them.
Yes.
So that's cool. And so that's your full-time gig now, right?
It will be as of fall semester starting August 22nd.
Cool.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, you've already got kind of a full teaching schedule. Does this mean you're going to be even busier?
I'm always even busier.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what downtime is.
Okay.
I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I had downtime.
So if anybody out there is trying to decide where their kids should go to college, they should go to Ohio State University so they can take Julie's classes.
Most definitely. Yes.
That's where they should go.
Go Bucks. All
right. So we're going to, in a little bit, we're going to discuss a really serious topic here. It's a topic that's, if you've got kids, especially, it's really scary. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at the spring training tour schedule. Every year, I just noticed that there's a sticker logo there. I never looked at the back side of it, and usually when we use the other camera, it doesn't show. So I just noticed that. Oh, okay.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. So every spring, of course, we do the training tour here at Personal Defense Network, and this is where we have a bunch of our contributors, and all of the contributors, by the way, at Personal Defense Network are active self-defense instructors. There's no couch potatoes here, nobody doing this theoretically. Everybody here is an active instructor. And every year, what we do is we have them go out and teach. And the nice thing about the tour is that it gives us a chance to get classes, quality classes, out to especially areas of the country that might not really see that kind of stuff. And so we always start traditionally, the kickoff happens in Florida, and then the culmination of the tour usually ends up in northern Washington, and that's true again this year. It starts in well, actually, it ends on July 30th or 31st. So it usually runs several months, and there are a whole pile of classes from our great contributors. And so I'd like to take just a couple of minutes and show you what's going on in the next couple of weeks on the training tour, because we're really in the thick of it now. We've got a little over a month to go, and there's still a whole bunch of classes. So I'm going to see if the Google gods are with us here. Which Julie can attest may or may not be the case.
You may hear him swear tonight.
Oh man, I tell you. Okay, so present to everyone. So here we go. Julie, can you see that screen?
I can. Yeah, just don't ask me to read it. I can't read it.
Okay, all right, that's okay. So this is the training tour. If you go to the PDN site, go under trading, go to tour dates and locations. Of course, the training tour overview will give you what's going on. The tour dates and locations. Click on that, and you get to this screen here. The all the classes that are listed, starting there in. Well, actually, the very earliest ones have been taken off now. But coming up in the next few weeks, Rob Pincus is going to be in Bonfield, Illinois, teaching fundamentals of intuitive defensive shooting and intuitive defensive carbine. And I'm still having trouble talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's coming up in Illinois, and I don't really know where that town is, but so he's going to be teaching intuitive defensive shooting and intuitive defensive carbine. Now, on the 27th of this month, which is about 6 days from now, Mike Seeklander is going to be in Sacramento, California, teaching competition handgun advanced movement. And when you're shooting, particularly USPSA or even IDPA movement and how you choreograph it is everything, Mike Seeklander is an expert on that. And so if you're a serious competitor, you need to take this class from Mike Seeklander. On the 28th, intuitive, which is exactly a week from today, in Peoria, Illinois, Rob Pincus is going to be teaching intuitive defensive shooting again. And then on the 1st, excuse me, this is June, isn't it?
Heck yeah, it is.
I'm way off. Oh, excuse me. I should be like down here.
There you go.
Those classes have already happened. I can't believe I did that. I'm thrown off by the fact that I'm looking in different places than I normally look. So, so this weekend, let's see what's going on this weekend. Fort Worth, Texas, Advanced Trauma Care with Caleb Causey.
Oh my gosh.
The expert. Yeah.
I am dying to take that class.
Wouldn't that be a cool class to take?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
maybe we can get Caleb to come to Ohio.
Oh, you should. In fact, I know he's been to Ohio before.
Oh, really?
I think he has. You give him a call and tell him, Caleb, you need to get to Ohio.
Caleb, come to Ohio.
Calgary, and I'm not sure. I think we talked about this. I'm not sure if that's Calgary, California, or Calgary, Canada. I don't know if there's a town in California called Calgary, but the 22nd and 23rd, which is this weekend, immediate action jiu-jitsu, immediate action pugilism with Cecil Birch. Cecil Birch is one of the nicest guys in the world, and
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's one not to miss.
Yeah, that's one that's one everybody should take. I want to take that.
I think I would love to see a class 50% men, 50% women.
Oh, that'd be great. And Cecil's a great instructor.
Oh yeah.
He teaches a lot of women. So he's very very good at that. So immediate action jiu-jitsu and immediate action pugilism with Cecil Birch.
Get in there, ladies.
Pryor Creek, Oklahoma, Mike Seeglander, defensive handgun level 1. Wolcott, Colorado on the 27th, which is 6 days from now. Boy, it's almost the end of June. I just cannot believe this.
I know it.
Intuitive defensive carbine and fundamentals of intuitive defensive shooting with Rob Pincus. Reno, Nevada, Alessandro Padovani, one of my favorite guys in the training world, teaching intuitive defensive shooting, and his flagship class, which is safer, faster knife defense. Always, he's a master. He's a master with a blade. I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't know Alessandro, you should really take a class from him. And
as an aside, I just saw on his IG account, he just taught 30 women a women's self-defense class. Oh God, where was that? Illinois? Illinois. Anyway, it was jam-packed. The guy is a beast when it comes to teaching self-defense. And I'm sure that was a phenomenal class. And that bleeds over into every class he teaches. That safer, faster knife class is going to be phenomenal.
It's an awesome, he's an awesome instructor and a great guy to know. Raton, New Mexico, intuitive defensive shooting with Ken Ortega and Maggie Mordaunt. I know Maggie. I don't really know Ken all that way, but I know Maggie. Maggie's great. Fort Worth, Texas, adventure trauma care with Caleb Causey. He's got a whole raft of trauma care courses, and every one of them is worth going to. And then let's see here, July 10th and 11th, Salt Lake City, Utah. Rob Pincus is going to be there teaching a carbine class and a 2-person armed defense class, which is a cool class.
Yep.
And we'll wrap up here with let's see. On the 14th of July, Fort Worth, Texas, range response with Caleb Cosby. And if I remember correctly, he said that's a class specifically for people who want to know what to do on a shooting range, how to, if somebody gets shot or hurt otherwise, what to do. And so another great class from Caleb. So be sure and check those out. And my apologies for not realizing it was the end of June. I thought it was the end of May. Oh God,
that's too much kombucha, man.
Man, I tell you, something. And don't forget our sponsors here. Let's kind of zoom in there a little bit. Good folks at Crossbreed Holsters. You've heard me mention them before. Great group of people. Viridium Weapon Technologies. They make lasers and lights that go on your gun, and they've got a really cool new thing, a miniature video camera that activates when you draw your gun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it goes on the rails of the handgun. It's really cool. Of course, United States Concealed Carry Association, great organization. Angel Fire Ammunition. The folks at CERT Pistol, which is the training pistol with laser training pistol that you can use. Springfield Armory USA. They should probably need no introduction by now. Everybody knows who Springfield Armory is. 511 Apparel. Thanks again, guys, for the shirts. Patriot Ordnance Factory. Mission First Tactical, and Holosun, the makers of great optics, red dots and scopes and that kind of thing. So be sure and support our tour sponsors, because without them, it literally would not happen. The tour just wouldn't happen. And they provide a lot of funds and a lot of stuff to make the tour possible. So please, and again, shirts. 511 Apparel. So
silky.
So this is silky. This is the newest 511 apparel that I've got. I remember them back before 511 was spun off, and they were making their clothes were being made by Royal Robbins, and they made the classic 511 pant, and that got spun off, and they grew into a big clothing company. And if you think, by the way, go to 511 Tactical site. They make more than just clothing, but also they make more than just tactical clothing. They make just everyday sort of wear clothing that's just really, really well built.
Yeah, they've
And
got
they
some
have,
really
yeah,
cool like weekend wear for women,
yeah,
which is
yeah.
really nice.
Weekend wear is a good term. I was going to say casual, but weekend wear is better. All right. So let's get into the discussion tonight. Um, and this is a tough one, and it's a little scary even for me.
Hmm.
And because I've been around the whole the self-defense world for a long time now, and since the early 90s actually. And every once in a while I learn something new, and what I learned new here I wanted to talk about because it's important. And what really kind of set this whole thing off, and I reshared this article on social media this week about an alert airline desk clerk at the airport who recognized the warning signs of two girls who were stepping into a trafficking trap, a human trafficking
Is that
trap.
the one where they had a one-way ticket to New York?
Yeah, one way
Yeah.
ticket to New York. Yeah, yeah. And the alert gate agent said, "Yeah, no, no,
Mm-mm.
let's not do this."
Yeah.
So this is a scary thing. So I wanted to have Julie on because she's really researched this topic. She's talked to a lot of people, and one of the reasons is because a lot of your students at the university, and even your private students, this is something that they can face. And so that's why I wanted to have you on to talk about this. So I guess um, let's first of all, what we think of human trafficking as something that happens in other areas of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Areas that are not perhaps as well off as we are, perhaps not as enlightened as we are, but it happens here too, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh, it most definitely does, and it's happening right under your nose, and you don't even know it. It's very well hidden when when they want to make it hidden. You're not going to see it.
And we're talking mainly trafficking, pretty much for the prostitution trade, right?
Nope. We're
No,
talking of
really.
no. There are two different categories of human trafficking, and yes, sex trafficking is one of them, but so is forced labor. So you've
Oh,
got to
no
think,
kidding.
yeah, you got to think about both of them. Yeah, the first thing you think about is sex trafficking and women and children. And believe me, that's prevalent. That's very prevalent. But also think about like indentured servitude. Think about the people who are brought over perhaps from another country with a sponsor, and they are forced to sleep on mattresses in the back of a restaurant, and they don't get to leave the restaurant, and they work there, work, sleep, live there 24/7. They are not paid anything. They are in what they call like everything they do. First of all, they have to work off what they were charged to bring them over here. And then if they want to eat, they get billed for it. If they want to sleep on a mattress, they get billed for it. So basically, this forced labor, it keeps them in this cycle of they're always owing someone, and so they never get out of that cycle. And so therefore it's in the back of a restaurant, in the back of a massage parlor, in the back of a hair salon, all different kinds of places. But yes, forced labor
In hair
is
salons.
mhm, yeah.
Um, when I, think of this problem, I think of this happening mainly I think in New York City, right? Or maybe Chicago.
Hmm.
So, but I don't think of it as happening anyplace else. I mean, is it limited to big cities like that?
Nope, nope. I'll give you an example. Here in Ohio, I live in Ohio, and I have some friends who are on the human trafficking task force here in the state of Ohio, and they just told me that over 1,000 people a year are caught being trafficked in the state of Ohio. The state of
And that's just the
Ohio.
ones that catch, right?
Right, right. There's some staggering numbers, and forgive me, I'm I want to get my stats right. I have some papers down here with some numbers on it, just because there's an overwhelming number of numbers, and I want to make sure I get the numbers right. The There, okay, so here in in the United States, no, sorry, internationally, 40.3 million people are human trafficked. This is, by the way, this is the largest crime, only overshadowed by drugs, international drug trade, and arms dealing. The third one is human trafficking. It's that big of a deal, but we don't hear about it. That's the problem. We know it's there. We're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But we never really think it's that big of a problem. And it truly is.
So if this is so big, why? I mean, if this is so common, why is it rarely detected?
You can't catch them. You can't catch them. Think about this. If you have people who are dependent upon you emotionally, financially, for their drugs, for their livelihood, um, rather than being deported or anything else, whether it's um, an illegal situation or whether it's a 14-year-old kid living in a suburb of Columbus, Ohio. Once they're dependent upon the trafficker for whatever reason, and we'll get into that, they they don't they don't break that cycle. They, for whatever reason, and we can talk about that in a couple minutes, they don't break that cycle. One of the things that just made my jaw drop, because I never thought about it, but when you do hear this, you'll go, "Oh my God, of course." Um, what is more prevalent here? How much money can I make? Let's say I'm a trafficker. How much money can I make selling a bag of heroin? And how many times can I sell that bag of heroin? One time for whatever amount of money that is. If I've got a slave, because by the way, this is modern slave trade. If I have my own human slave and I'm going to go sell that person for sex, how many times can I sell that person for sex?
Oh,
Thousands of times. That's why it's so prevalent. That's why it's such a big problem. And furthermore, driving down the road, which is illegal? Having illegal drugs in your car or having 3 14-year-olds in your car?
wow. So you mentioned 14-year-olds. Um, what are the demographics of the victims, at least in this country, which is what we know we're talking about? What's the demographics of the victims of these crimes?
Um, they are mainly women and kids, but that doesn't mean, and I want to stress, it can be anyone. But the ones that are caught and the ones that are reported, the ones that they can, derive statistics from and put them on a nice little neat chart, are women ages 22 to 37, 22 to
Mhm.
37. Anyway, in that range, plus kids. So those two groups, those two demographics make up the majority of the people who are being trafficked in the
Wow.
United States. And it's different. Think about, that's including sex trafficking and forced labor, both of them combined.
Wow.
Hmm.
Um, okay. So let's talk then about how this happens, because the first step to protecting yourself from any form of criminal activity is knowing something about how the crimes happen, how attacks happen. In this particular case, can you give us some examples of how, say, teenagers
Yeah.
are coerced into this, or
Hmm.
is grooming may even be a good term
Oh,
for it.
grooming is big. Grooming is big. First of all, they look for vulnerability. As with anything, predators pick their prey. So it is a predator prey type situation. And it might be somebody who is emotionally distraught. It might be somebody who is seeking that type of emotional bond or connection. And, if a trafficker finds those teens, and they're out there, a lot of them are out there, unfortunately, and they're lonely and they're seeking companionship or friendship or whatever it might be, they can groom them to the point where they build it's a dependency upon that trafficker or that friend, and then the isolation occurs, and then they start perhaps giving them gifts, or if they don't come from a situation where they're used to getting things or receiving things, they can be given gifts, and that's a form of grooming, getting them to be dependent upon emotionally, financially, socially. They will isolate them from friends and family until that person that is going to be trafficked thinks that the trafficker is the only person in the world that cares about him. And that's where that dependent nature comes. And that's why they don't leave. That's one way.
Wow.
Just one way.
So we're talking about this idea of grooming, and I think most people probably think about this as happening as men doing it, right? The men
Hmm.
are the traffickers.
Maybe,
Not
but
true.
they would be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it can be anybody. I mean, if you look at the news, look at how many male, female, when this pops up in the news, and unfortunately it's far too often, when you see abuse of children in the home, it's not just a man. A lot of times you're seeing a man and a woman arrested for abusing a child or children in a home. And so men and women can both be traffickers. It depends. It could be a dominant situation, and that dominant situation can be, maybe it's predominantly from a male, but it can also be from a female. Let me give you an example that I was given, that it blew my mind, and it has happened. And it happened, and this is the one where it would happen right under your nose and you would have no idea that it was going on. Let's say we'll talk about you and me. You have a child and I have a child, and they go to school together. And they're in the age range of 13, 14, 15, 16, something like that, where they're interested in the other gender. And I have a girl and you have a boy. And my daughter invites your son over to a party at our house. And we live in the suburbs and we have a big, beautiful home. There's nothing suspect about anything about our neighborhood. We have a pool in the backyard. We have a lot of bedrooms where each bedroom is set up with a big screen TV and all those little PlayStation or Nintendo setups where you can, mic up and chat with everybody and play with a bunch of people remotely. And we've got, perhaps some cool snacks and whatnot. So we're having a party. My daughter says, "Hey, come over to the party Friday night." And we have a good time. There's a bunch of friends there. All the friends have fun. They eat pizza. They swim. There's no drugs. There's no alcohol. There's no indication of foul play whatsoever. And by the end of the night, everybody goes home happy. No big deal. Nothing happens. Next Friday rolls around. Daughter wants another party. Cool. All right, no big deal. So people come over again. They swim. They eat pizza. And now I've got one of those new cool soda makers, where you can make your own special sodas. And everybody is now in their own room and they're doing their gaming thing. And so there's isolation occurring. And I go to the room where your son is, and I'm like, "Hey, you want a soda? I'll make you a soda." And he's like, "Yeah, how about a really cool like lemon lime thing?" So I said, "Okay." So I go down and I make him his soda, and I slip him a date rape drug. And he drinks the soda, and he falls asleep in his room playing the game by himself. And I pull out my cell phone and I start taking sexually suggestive pictures of him, either with me or by himself or with another male. And I take multiple pictures. And I do this while he's asleep. He has no idea what's going on. Nobody else has any idea what's going on because they're all in their other rooms playing their games. He wakes up. He's clothed, fully clothed. He thinks he just fell asleep because he was tired because he was swimming. He goes home. Everybody goes home. Nobody has, any idea of what happened. Everything's cool. A couple days later, I call him. I call your son on the phone and I say, "Hey, are you alone?" "Yeah." "Are you sure you're alone? I want to send you a picture." So your son immediately thinks, "Oh, sexting. She's going to send me a sex picture." So he's like, "Okay, cool." So I send him a picture, but it's not of me. It's one of the pictures I took of him. And I tell him, I get back on the phone. I said, "You see the picture?" He says, "Yeah." And I say, "All right, you're going to do something for me. And if you don't, I'm going to plaster that picture all over the school website, all over social media, and you're going to be completely embarrassed." So I've got him. It's blackmail. And you know what I want him to do? I want him to take a bag of drugs from point A to point B. And I say, if you do that for me, all you have to do is carry this bag from one house to one house, or from one car to one car. You do that for me, and I'll delete this picture. He's like, "That's it?" "Yeah, that's it." "Okay, fine." So he gets back to me. He says he does it. I confirm, and I delete the picture. Next day, I call him again. I send him another picture. But I said, "You know how many pictures I have of you? You know how many times you're going to have to do this for me?" Over and over and over again. And even if he says, "I don't want to do it," I've already got him caught in trafficking drugs. I can drop a dime on him and tell the police that he's drug trafficking. So, and that can lead to other things. It might not be a drug situation. It might be, I'm going to sell him for sexual purposes. Excuse me. It could be anything. It could be sex trafficking. It could be human labor. Either way. But what that kid doesn't know, what your son doesn't know, is that what I have done in taking those pornographic pictures of a minor is I have committed a crime. And if he would be made aware that what I did was a crime, and that if he took that picture to the police officers and said, "This is what happened to me," the police officers wouldn't care that he took a bag of drugs from point A to point B. They would wipe all that out. They don't care about that. They want to get me. They want to get the trafficker. So we have to make sure, and this is a real thing. This is not a made up scenario. This happens over and over and over again. And this is how we get these vulnerable kids who are so insecure and don't feel like they have anybody that they can talk to. They're lonely. Now they're isolated. No wonder we have such a depressed youth. But at any rate, that's how that can happen. And if we just let them know the real facts, if they are caught up in something like that, the adult in the situation is going to be in a heck of a lot more trouble than they ever would be.
Wow.
Doesn't that make you mad?
Wow. And it doesn't have to be. I mean, this is just one scenario, and I've read of cases where basically this thing happened.
Yeah.
So this is, and I hope everybody understands that this is an actual scenario. This has actually happened, and I've
Right.
actually read of cases. Um, Sometimes sometimes it can simply be um, exchanging drugs. Somebody maybe has
Mm-hmm.
started into drugs, and well, here's some free drugs, and the
Right.
whole thing's again starts. Well, if you tell anybody, I'll have to report you as a drug abuser, and all, and
Right.
that happens too.
Or when they get codependent on that drug and they rely on the trafficker to give them the drug, they'll do anything. Because oh gosh, where did I hear this? The It's not, a lot of times it's not the addicted drug, the drug addicted person. It's not that they have to have the drug. It's that they don't want to come down off the drug and deal with the pain, the physical pain that they have to go through when they are going through detox. Apparently, I didn't realize this, but apparently the pain that they go through when they detox from these drugs is excruciating.
Oh,
And it might not be that they want the drug. I mean, I'm sure there's some people out there that want the drug, but a lot of times it is because they don't want to go through that pain.
Right. Well, so we have some idea of the scope of the problem.
Mhm.
We've got some idea of who's at risk. And in a minute here, we're going to transition into a discussion about keeping your kids safe and keeping other kids safe as well.
Yeah.
Before we do that, I want to take just a minute and talk about premium membership here at Personal Defense Network, because Personal Defense Network, in case you didn't know, has both the public side where you get incredibly good information like what Julie's giving us tonight. And all the free shows that we do, the Training Talk show, of course, Rob Pincus's monthly PDN live show. But on the membership side of Personal Defense Network, we have even more resources, and resources like full length, DVD length training videos, collections of training videos that address one particular topic so you know where to go to get all the best information that you possibly can. Access to online courses, distance learning, distance education courses, all that stuff is on the premium side of Personal Defense Network. And well, normally it used to be $39.95 a year. I think it's gone up to $49.95 a year.
Worth every
And
penny.
it's worth every penny, but I'll tell you, I'm going to save you some money because I want you to have this incredible information, the kind of quality information that you only get at Personal Defense Network. I mean, you don't find discussions like the one I'm having with Julie tonight. You don't find this anywhere else. You find it on Personal Defense Network because this is what we do. We keep people safe. And so, in order to help you get access to this information, if you sign up for premium membership at Personal Defense Network and you use this code at checkout, oh, hang on, I got to remember I'm not on that.
There it is.
Different camera now. So Grant 10, Grant, the number 1, the number 0, all one word. Put that into the discount box or the coupon code box when you check out for signing up for premium membership, and that will get you your first year for only $10. Your first year membership at Personal Defense Network for only $10. Now, it's not metered or restricted or any access like that. It is full membership access for your first year for $10. And that is just a screaming deal. I just cannot imagine anybody not taking advantage of this because it's incredible. You cannot buy a decent training DVD for $10. It just won't happen. But if you become a premium member, you've got access to all kinds of them from our great PDN contributors, our great trainers and teachers and educators in the field of self-defense. So again, click on any sign up button anywhere on the site. There's buttons all over the PDN site where you can push to sign up for premium membership. Put this code, again, wrong camera, this code into the coupon code box or the discount box, Grant 10, Grant, the number 1, the number 0, all one word, and you'll get your first year of premium membership at Personal Defense Network for only $10. And that is just the steal deal of the century. Woot does not have deals like this. So be sure and take advantage of that. And so we'll get back to our discussion. And we're discussing tonight, if you're just now tuning in, we're talking about human trafficking in the United States and how to keep our kids safe. And this is a problem that a lot of people don't understand happens. A lot of people don't believe it happens, but it does, to the tunes of thousands and thousands of people every year. So, Julie, as I said,
can I give you some more numbers?
Sure. Go ahead.
In the event that people don't think that this is real or that it's not as big of a deal as we are making it out to be, let me give you some financials. Internationally, this is a $150 billion industry.
Wow.
International. Now, in the United States, we're not quite there yet. Not in the billions, but the minimum that they have calculated, on statistics. Remember, this doesn't even count the stuff that we don't have on paper. But statistically, 39.9 million per year in Denver, Colorado, all the way up to 290 million in Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Big business, big business.
Oh, geez. So this problem exists, folks. This is not, this, we're not making this stuff up. This stuff
No.
exists. And just like protecting yourself from, home invasions, from protecting yourself from carjackers, those things happen. This happens. The only difference is you never see it.
Right.
And your
But you
kids,
can.
yeah.
You can see it. I mean, there are signs that if you know what to look for, you
Well, in
can
fact, we'll
spot
get
it.
into, I want to get into that a little later too.
Okay.
So don't let me forget that because I want to get into that.
Okay.
Um, but this could happen. I mean, this could happen to your kids. You so Julie, let's talk about what parents can do for their kids to keep them from being falling prey to somebody like this. I mean, where do we start?
Well, some of it
This
has.
is this is not a shooting problem. This is
Oh,
important to
no.
understand. This is not something you can just pull your gun out and solve,
No.
right?
No. A lot of times it is a psychological or an emotional issue and a confidence issue. And, all of those things that as a family unit, you're supposed to be strong in. And, if we don't know how our youth are feeling, if we don't talk to them about what's going on in their life, a lot of this stuff just gets swept under the rug. You've got to be engaged in your kid's life, or in your young adult friends' lives. You have to know what's going on, because if you have someone who is lacking emotional stability, if somebody is a runaway, by the way, runaways or people in foster care, 85% of them usually, the numbers say 85% can go right on into human trafficking. So that's, again, look what they're looking for, look what they're seeking out. These traffickers know that they're lacking emotional stability. And if they groom them and if they give them that, and then that person who's being trafficked or groomed for trafficking then becomes dependent upon them for that. And it's vital to them and it's important to them because they haven't received it from anybody else.
So you've identified that your kid might have some need issues for whatever reason.
Hmm.
What do you tell them?
Well, you want to first of all make sure that they know that human trafficking exists. Have
Okay.
that conversation with them. If in the state of Ohio, if we're sending people into schools and talking to young teens and teens about this, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be having this conversation with your children,
It,
because they need to know that they're not the ones that the authorities are looking for. They're looking for the traffickers. So if anything happens to them, if they think, oh man, I'm gonna be in trouble if I say something, no, you're not. Always speak up. Make sure that you tell your children to speak up and say something. If not to the authority, at least to you.
I think that's a really good point because knowing that they can speak up to a trusted adult is big. Not and we're not talking just for 6, 7, 8 year olds. This is important for teenagers too,
Yep.
because you get into those teenagers years. Teenagers don't like to talk, but knowing that they can, and knowing what the signs of being groomed are, and that
Hmm.
they can talk. Oh, this happened to me. This thing happened. Is this bad or good? Just being able to do that, I think, would go a long way, wouldn't it?
Huge. Absolutely huge. We could solve a big part of this problem if if we could just isolate that. It's not going to make everything go away. This problem is it's, I think, and nobody, I've not read this word anywhere, but I'm looking at this going, if this isn't an epidemic, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
And we're losing a generation, because of it. This has been, by the way, the national legislation to get things in place for making it illegal, but both sex and forced labor happened in the year 2000. So this is still fairly new.
Wow.
18 years on the books.
Well, the I think it's important to point out here that if somebody hasn't gotten the message, I think it's important to point out here that this is not a case where kids are being grabbed off the street. This is really
No.
important to understand. This is not something that you can teach martial arts moves to or weapons techniques to, because these people are being coerced, being convinced, being led to
Yes.
trust someone else who then takes advantage of that trust. This is not something, the karate classes you sent your kids to aren't going to help with this. They might help
No.
with, the self-esteem issues that come along
Correct.
with all this kind of thing. But in terms of, you can't fight
The
this
physical
physically.
fighting. No.
Right.
No, it's a mental and psychological issue that they need to get a hold of, and make sure that the kids know what to do in the event that they are approached like this.
Right. Um, so, I mean, it sounds very touchy-feely, get to know your kids, this sort of thing. Is there anything concrete that the parent can do that where you can say, okay, if this line is crossed, you do this? Um, is that an approach that has any validity here at all?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of gray area, and that's why I'm hesitant to say an if then situation. But you know how we always talk about intuition and things being intuitive and listening to that sixth sense, and you know when something just doesn't feel right. You need to teach your kids how to listen to that.
Okay.
Trust it. Because when
Um,
that happens, when something like that does happen, that's when they need to start making conversation with parents or another trusted adult, or an authority to get that under control.
this is probably a point where we should point out there are actually books on that are out there. Gavin Becker has written one of the best called The Gift of Fear.
Yep.
And he's written one aimed at parents of kids called, I think, Giving the Gift or Teaching the Gift. Something like
Teaching,
that.
I think oh God, The Gift of Fear?
No, The Gift of Fear is the first one. The one that is specifically aimed at parents to help their kids understand, I think, is called Teaching the Gift
I
or
know what you're
Giving the
talking
Gift.
about, but
Yeah.
I don't know that I could say it properly.
Yeah, I think it's Teaching the Gift. And that's one where he helps people. Here's how you teach your kids this concept of the gift of fear and how to listen, to what's going on. I think
Right.
those two books are probably really good resources here, to help people understand. Listen to that internal. If something seems like it's bad, it probably is,
Mm-hmm.
and then speak
Yep.
up, do something.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, all right. So one of the things that I wanted to touch on is because it's not just about keeping your kids safe, but like this person, this gate agent at the airport who saved these two girls. What are the things that we, as concerned citizens, should be on the lookout for so that we can spot
Yeah.
potentially trafficked people? And what do we do?
Well, um, you're looking for abnormalities. You're looking for um, people who are maybe, and please don't think that this is like the only list. If it's not on this list, well, then they're not being trafficked. These are just some ideas to look for. If they are shy, if they do not have any control of their own money, if they are dirty, if they have physical bruises that look new or old, if they are if they don't speak a current language and they're only repeating the same lines over and over as if they've been fed certain lines to say, and that's it. If they're afraid to talk, if they don't know where they are. If they say, they're going to grandma's house and you're like, oh, where's grandma's house? They don't know where it is. Perhaps, some of those things, if they're unsure of where they are. And if you are seeing someone with a tattoo, perhaps with someone's name on it, that's another indicator. If you see someone with another adult, a male adult, a female adult, and they are, acting as though they are, they can't say anything. They always look to that person. They're shy, but they're very dependent upon that one person. We're not talking about like a mother-daughter or a father-son. We all understand what that is. This is completely different. Something that makes you think, this is odd. What is this? It might be a gas station, truck stop. It could be grocery store parking lot, mall parking lot. Um, a lot of open air places like that where people can disappear quickly, fade into the crowd. That's where a lot of this tends to happen.
Um, and you said this at the beginning, and I really want to reiterate this to people because the tendency for a lot of people is to say, well, they said shyness is one of the markers. My kid's shy and they're not being sex trafficked. The important point is here is not, as Julie said, it's not one thing. You don't see one thing and think,
Right.
what it is
Think
you're looking for
think
clustering.
submissive. Yeah, think
Yeah,
submissive. Maybe not shy. Maybe shy wasn't the right word. Think submissive,
right.
as opposed to shy.
And so what you're looking for is you're looking for clusters of these behaviors that tip you off, that says, again, listen to your inner voice. This is not right. Something's wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
Not because any one thing, but because just a number of things cluster together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that should throw up red flags, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And if even if you just approach that person that you think, oh, whether it's a kid, a young adult, a female, a male, whomever it could be anybody. But if you have that feeling like, oh, something's not right here. And if you go up and say, hey, everything okay? Are you okay? And any of those indicators you observe any of those indicators, you may have a situation. You may or you may not. And if you alert the authorities or you alert someone, by the way, there is a national human trafficking hotline number that we can give out later. You can call that. It can be anonymous. You can give them the information and then you're done.
In fact, why don't you give that now? Because we're actually running, believe it or not, we're running out of time.
Okay. Okay.
Give that hotline number. And of course,
Yes.
911 is always a valid call, right?
Yes. Well, it is, but that's an emergency number unless you call the non-emergency. I guess that is an emergency. But if if there are some people who don't want to, um, there are people who won't call 911 because they don't want to take away from, burning fire or, that type of thing. You can always call and you can put this in your cell phone. Just put it in your cell phone. It's the National Human Trafficking Hotline, 888 373 7888. You can
Repeat,
also repeat it.
yeah, repeat that.
Okay. The National Human Trafficking Hotline is 888 373 7888. And if anybody wants any additional information about this, there is a national organization called the Polaris Project, and they have a website. It's called polarisproject.org, O-R-G. I got to make sure I get that right. polarisproject.org. And you can go on there and read about facts, statistics, how to get involved, go over some of those things that you might think of as indicators, or and that way if you missed any of them or you didn't write any of them down, they're right there for you so that you can look at them, print them off, do whatever you want to do with them.
This is an important thing. And again, this is not something that uh, you can take a self-defense class for. This is being alert. This is understanding that the crime happens, that uh, that there are signs that you can spot,
Mm-hmm.
not just in other people's kids, but perhaps even in your own kids.
You never know.
You never
You
know.
never know.
I can't believe hair salons. I just, that
Well, let
kind
me,
of blows
eh,
me away.
sure. Well, it's another one of those, things where it, if you get a bunch of people from another country and you get them to work for you in a situation like that. Um, okay, my first semester at Ohio State, out of 80 girls, there was one. There was one because of my self defense class and what we were talking about. She came out of a human trafficking situation. I
Wow.
actually helped her out of a human trafficking situation. We got one. We got one. And it was so traumatic for her, that she had to deal with that. And I feel for her, and I'm still in communication with her. And God love her. She's got a lot to deal with,
So,
but she'll be
so
okay.
I think it's important. So to point out here that it's not just people being kept in locked rooms in the back of a store. I mean, this is a college student,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. Well, just think about the kid who had the pictures taken of him. It's the same thing. These kids are going to school, they're going home, they're living their everyday life, and yet they've got this noose around their neck and they have to deal with this as well.
Wow.
That's why it's covered up so well.
So, folks, if that doesn't scare you, then you're probably not paying attention
Right.
because it happens all over, and it's not just being shackled to a bed in the back of a restaurant. That's it.
Nope.
They're around. They're all around you. Um, we've got just a couple of minutes. Julie, thank you for this information. It's sobering. And
Yeah.
like I said, we sometimes feel that we should be able to, shoot our way out or kick our way out or punch our way out of any defensive situation. But this is a defensive situation that requires a very different skill set.
Absolutely.
And so thank you for agreeing to come on and talk about this because it is a difficult subject. Would you remind people how they can get in touch with you?
Mhm.
And also tell us the names of the classes you teach at Ohio State.
Oh, sure. Um, so we're on Instagram and Facebook as either myself, Julie Leffler, or Compass Defense Group. And you can look us up and like us or follow us or whatever you want to do. We have a website that, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's currently in transition. Right now, it's still up as Mid Ohio IMB. But in speaking to my web developer, me, we'll have that worked on, and it should be transitioned by Sunday. So you can look up then compassdefensegroup.com. Just don't go there right now. The other thing, what did you want me to say? Oh, and if you want to email, can we do email?
Sure.
Julie at Mid Ohio IMB until Sunday, and then it's Julie at compassdefensegroup.com.
Cool. And what's the name of the courses you teach at Ohio State? Because if
I
you've got
am
kids at Ohio State, they should take these.
I'm going to be teaching 4 women's self-defense classes, 4 boxing classes, 2 judo classes with a heavy emphasis on jiu-jitsu, and 1 CPR first aid training, and 1 social dance.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
So if you've got students at Ohio State, they should take Julie's classes. And if you've got kids that are looking for a place to go, they should go to Ohio State so they can take Julie's classes. All right.
absolutely.
That's how
Thank you.
things should work. So thanks
Yeah,
again for being on. Just a tremendous, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. And
it's
I'm sure
tough. It's really
it's
tough.
tough. It really is. So folks, join us again for the next episode of Training Talk, which will be in July 5th, the day after the holiday. Wow. I'm glad it didn't fall on July 4th. That would have been tough. But the day after Independence Day, July 5th, is our next episode of Training Talk right here at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget there we go. The code to get your first year of premium membership at Personal Defense Network for only $10. Grant 10, GRANT, the number 1, the number 0, all one word. Put that in at checkout. I do enjoy getting your emails. So please send those to Grant at grantcunningham.com. Always happy to get them. And of course, my website, www.grantcunningham.com. You can also find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can also just go to Amazon, type in Grant Cunningham, and you'll get all of the books that I write. If you go to the iTunes bookstore and search for Grant Cunningham, you'll find my books on the iBook store as well. So be sure and check those out. I really appreciate it if you would. And we're about done. So thank you for tuning in tonight. And we will see you again 2 weeks from tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here at Personal Defense Network. Good night, everybody, and good night, Julie.
Thanks, Grant. Good night.